Good afternoon, all participants. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to present this research paper in this reviewing research 2022. I am Wasantha from Street Business School. This paper has already published in Index Journal, a Scopus QT Q2 level journal. So this publication is revisited work-life balance under COVID-19 pandemic periods using discriminant function. In this paper, I have investigated how work-life balance concept applied during pandemic period. So this is the presentation outline. So work-life balance. Work-life balance means how employees balance their professional work and personal responsibilities. Opposite side of the work-life balance we call work-life conflict. So what is the background of the study? As we know that when COVID-19 virus spread all over the island, government imposed lockdown. To survive well for the organizations, they have to shift it to digital work setting very faster. And organizations do so without even consulting their or discussing their employees. So work-life balance is not a new concept. There are many researchers conducted research in this area. But the basic assumption is at that time, employee physically or geographically, they work in the office, and at the same time, their family obligations so in separately. So official work and family, this physically they are located in two places. But what has happened with the COVID-19 in this work from home concept, they have to pay attention to their work and domestic care, child care responsibilities while living in the same place at home. So all of we are familiar with the consequences of work from home, new normal environment. So employees were tense because they had to play different role at one time, and high workload, managers expect more from them, like extra report or the summary of where their daily work, they have to inform their managers. In addition, change in their working hours, sometimes very poor communication with supervisors. They cannot sometimes contact their supervisors. Then employee have to handle the technical tasks by themselves. Uncertain in the working environment like Wi-Fi issues, electricity issues, lack of sufficient hardware and software. Sometimes they have only one laptop at home. Every family members start work from home, and for the children's education, this one laptop might not be able to manage. Then background noise in the work environment, and do not have proper place to work. Sometimes they don't have office room. They had to work in the dining room, bedroom, even in the kitchen. And while they need to handle many activities at the same during the daytime, they have less quality time to spend with the family. On the other hand, school also were closed down and they have to support for their children's online education. On the other side, they couldn't able to take support from their family members or maybe from the housemaid. Daycare centers also closed. So finally, there are many demands from the children who are stay at home for a long time because of close of the schools. Because of all reasons, now this paper is trying to investigate how employees balance work and life responsibilities during this pandemic period, especially at the work from home period. So regarding the literature, after reviewing, I have identified work-life balance as dependent variable and role conflict management support, awareness programs, and self-management has independent variables. This even before the pandemic also, many researchers conduct research on these areas. But the operational definitions were slightly changed with the pandemic situation. For example, role conflict, prior to the pandemic, researchers identifying that At one time, they had to work at the office and they have family obligations at home. So they have to play, they have two roles. They have to play at what time, have role conflict. But during the pandemic, as we know that within a daytime, they had to play different roles as a mother, as a teacher, as a caretaker, and they have to cook and while doing the office work. And the management support. Prior to the pandemic period, they expect managers to maybe grant leave, grant their loans for support for their issues. But with the pandemic period, management support means they expect support from managers to handle their official activities. And the awareness program, prior to the pandemic, they are more focusing on stress management or conflict management. Now they are more focusing on change management and crisis management. And the self-management definition is almost the same, how employees give priority for their activities. And the sample and measurement method, population of this study is executive level employees at private banks in Sri Lanka, and sample size was 400. So the data gathering through the telephone conversations and through the Google form during the pandemic period. To analyze data, descriptive statistics used to identify respondent profile and discriminant analysis have used because this dependent variable is categorical nature. So this is the respondent profile. You can see that 87% were married and 64% female workers and 56% less than 40 years old. 96 were mothers having 2 or 3 children, and 65 of these children were school age and 23 were infirm. And 23 live with their parents or adult of the family, and 86% have a working spouse and others have had their own businesses. Overall, this data highlighted that most employees married were women with school-age children and have working spouses which positively correlate with work-life balance issues. So this is the results of the study. You can see that all 4 independent variables positively impacted work-life balance. Comparing all 3, managing role conflict has the strongest impact on work-life balance. In addition, management support, awareness program, as well as self-management also have positive but relatively lower level of impact on work-life balance. So these are the researchers who have support for the this research findings. So what are the recommendations of this study? So organizations need to implement training programs, especially focusing on crisis management and change management, and they need to empower their employees. Next thing is they have to develop new policies and procedures related to new normal work environment. Most important thing is they need to cultivate the trust-based working culture among staff, because most of the time, if employee unable to answer telephone calls, management may think that employee may not work properly. So trust is very important. So this is also would like to recommend. And the next thing is strengthening IT security mechanism, because they are handling confidential information. So they need some kind of like the firewall or maybe the protected system to protect their confidential information. In addition, transparency and strong communication has to develop and need to provide computers and Wi-Fi facilities. And I would like to propose to provide some incentives for employees. And in addition, to most importantly, I would like to propose to organize family counseling services. This counseling services not only for the employee, but for the whole family. Then organization convince for the spouses or maybe the children how it is important to attend sometime the meeting or office work of these employees. So then if children or the spouse can understand about this importance, they may support employees of this work. Like for example, elder children can take care of younger children, or they might not disturb during employee have some special meetings, or when they meeting deadlines. So these are the recommendations of this study. And the future research, I would like to propose to collect data from the multiple sources, like from other employees and from the customer side also, in addition to conduct research using the qualitative method like in-depth interview, or at least structured or semi-structured interview. So in addition that, these final recommendations I have discussed with the management. They agreed with especially this training programs. They also mentioned that previously they focus on threat management or conflict management. Now they want to more focus on change management, and if there are any sudden change, how employee can handle their own activities without or maybe less support from their supervisors. And new policies and procedures already they also implemented, and they also agree that trust-based working culture need to develop. And then the last one also, they are very happy to agree to start family counseling service. So this is the findings of my research. Thank you very much. So if you have any question now, you can ask me.